this week sees the return of the Carabao Cup as we enter the third round stage. What does that mean? It means the big boys are in town. Will they get through to the fourth round? We're going to get into it, all of it, next. That's right, folks, back once again with another prediction video. Today we're taking a look at the Carabao Cup, aka the League Cup, aka the EFL Cup. That's right, and it's coming at you this coming week. That's right, what's going to start this week, and of course takes place over the course of 2 weeks. And we'll take a look at it, all of it, in a second. Of course, big shout out to the VIPs, the other patrons. If you're new, where you've been, smash your subscribe button. Your one-stop shop for League Cup, Carabao Cup, and the EFL Cup is right here under one rooski. Rovers are no longer there, but it's okay. We're going to rest it up and enjoy the weekend, or enjoy the weekend, look forward to the weekend. But there are some big games coming at you this week, and we're going to take a look at them in just a second. Once again, big shout out to the patrons. Again, shout out to the members. That's right, we've got a brand new member, Stephen Bradley. Welcome to the gang, and of course, shout out to the rest of you for supporting the channel. Alright then, folks, let's take a little look back first and foremost with the last round of games in the Carabao Cup. And there were some major surprises, including Rovers' loss, but these were the games and these were my predictions. My predictions were on the left, the real deal was on the right. And let's have a look at it in fine detail, because I got some absolute bangers. That's pretty much spot on the nose. We did not see Middlesbrough beat Stoke. It was actually the other way. And speaking of Stoke, breaking news, Schumacher is no more a coach or a manager I wasn't the biggest fan of at Stoke, so they might have made the right call, or maybe not, depending on what they do with this now shock movement in the Championship season. But we'll talk about that another day. Meanwhile, Coventry did beat Oxford 1-0. I went with a 2-0. Wycombe did beat Swansea. I went with a penalty shootout victory, but they got it done. They got it done in 19 minutes. Meanwhile, Wimbledon took care of business against Ipswich Town, 4-2 on the penalties to go through. Watford took care of business against Plymouth. West Ham knocked out Bournemouth. QPR, like I said, knocked out Luton, again going to penalties. I went with the 90-minute scoreline. Brighton did knock out Crawley. That was, of course, a shock that I went the other way. Southampton put 5 past Cardiff in a 5-3 thriller. Meanwhile, Leyton Orient took care of business against Millwall. That was a bit of a shocker there. Brentford beating Colchester. Everton beating Doncaster. Blackpool beating Rovers. That was a shambles. Bolton getting a win, which is like rocking or shit for them at the moment. They took care of business against Shrewsbury. The Geordies beat Forest on penalties as well. Barrow took care of business against Derby to set up a crunch clash against Chelsea. We've got Leicester beating Tranmere. We have Barnsley beating Sheffield United, and I called that one as well. Walsall beating Huddersfield. That was a shocker. Wolves taking care of business against Burnley. Wednesday putting 5 past Grimsby. Fleetwood beating Rotherham. I called that one as well. Preston beating Harrogate. Fulham beating Birmingham. And Palace beating Norwich. Now, I don't know. I'm not going to count up mine, but I think I did pretty well. But you guys did put your predictions in, and Jimmy Watton coming out on top with a respectable 19 points out of that one. Lewis B is up there alongside him. Chris T as well, and then the chasing pack. What has that done to the overall scoreboard? Which we've been pretty much busy since the get-go. It looks like this: a whopping 38 already for Frosty. Hansworth alongside him, Jimmy Watton in second as well, 36. It's a marathon, not a sprint. The points do get less as we get closer to that final, but that's the situation that we find ourselves right here, right now. So that is that. If you want to join in like Russell, Worsty, and Jimmy Watton, this is the link. Get involved, get about it, and of course we'll see how you do next time around. Now, these games, like I said, are going to be taking place over the next couple of weeks, starting from tomorrow, which is Tuesday the 17th of September, all the way through to Wednesday the 25th of September. Some big ones this week, some big ones next week, but we're going to predict each and every one of them right here, right now. All right then, folks, at the top of the graphic, we're going to start with Stoke City, now managerless Stoke City, as they take on Fleetwood Town, coming at you out of League 2. So over to the Bet365 we will go. Looks like Alex Morris will take over the reins here on a temporary basis until they figure out who will be in proper charge for the rest of the season. Now, Stoke have played Fleetwood just the one time since 2021. They picked up a win, and that was in the EFL Cup in the first round, way back in August 2021. They came out on start up with a 2-1 win. They do come into this not too bad a form, and I think it's a bit, despite my reservations for Schumacher, I think this is a bit of a surprise that they've made this call. 50% form for them over the last 6, won 3 and lost 3. Up against Charlie Adams' Fleetwood, also on 50% form for them heading into this one with a couple of wins, a couple of draws, and a couple of defeats. Speaking of defeats, Fleetwood did not get one. They picked up a 3-2 win over Carlisle this past week, and of course Stoke did lose to Oxford 1-0 over at the Kazam. The bookies will go with Stoke, I'm sure. 25-12 is your host, 6-1 is your Fleetwood, and 31-10 is the draw. I am actually going to go with Stoke City to lose this one. Bit of a chaotic week, I don't know. I don't think the fans were expecting this, to be honest with you. But I'm going to go with a shock loss here. Fleetwood continuing their little cup distraction from the league, and I'll go through to the fourth round where they could get a heavy hitter waiting in the wings. Let's head on down to London now, shall we, as 2 London clubs duke it out with Brentford under Thomas Frank up against Richie Wellens' Leyton Orient, though the venue is, of course, the Community Stadium out in Brentford, where these two sides have played 13 times since 2006. We have 5 wins for Brentford, 5 wins for the Orient, and 3 draws between the two sides. But coming into this, Brentford are on a good bit of form, 58% form for them right now, up against Leyton Orient, 33% form for them heading into this one. Now, the last time that these two sides played at this very venue, or it might not have been this venue, but in Brentford, it was a 2-0 win for the Orient back in September 2013, where both of these two clubs, get this, were in League One. That's right, my oh my, how fortunes have changed. Brentford on the back of that 2-1 loss to Man City. The Orient pick up a must-needed win against Reading to give themselves a boost in the league. The bookies go 3-1 on is your Brentford, 8-1 is your Orient, and 4-1 is the draw. I can't see anything but a home win here. I'm going to go with a 2-0 win for Brentford to go through to the round 4, where this could be a year for Brentford to do something like this. But yeah, backing them to comfortably win against the Orient this coming week. Next up, let's go to the beach. That's right, coming at you this coming Tuesday, the 17th of September. It should have been the Rovers game, but it is Blackpool taking on Danny Roll's Sheffield Wednesday. That's right. Of course, these two sides, familiar foes, playing 21 times since 2003. 8 wins for Stevie Brucey's Blackpool. That's right. Up against one of his old clubs, if my memory suits me, and that's Sheffield Wednesday, now managed by Danny Roll, who is finding life a little bit tricky despite all the hype, all the craziness surrounding him over the summer. 42% form for them right now, just 1 win in the last 5. They did pick up a draw this past weekend, but Blackpool, since of course getting rid of Critchley, their form has been solid over the past 5. 67% form for them heading into this one. Now, the last time that they played at this very venue, it was a 1-0 win for Wednesday way back in March 2015. In fact, Wednesday haven't conceded a goal against them over the last 3. Pick up 3 successive wins. Wednesdays, though, form coming into this, just that 1-1 draw against QPR. Blackpool with a monster 2-1 win over Exeter at this very venue, which of course is by the beach. 9-5 is your Blackpool, 12-5 is the draw, 29-20 is your Wednesday. I think I am going to go with Stevie Bruce, to continue the new manager bounce. 2-1 win for them. The Tangerines will be partying under the illuminations. Let's head on over to Deepdale now, so continuing in the North West as Blackpool's bitter rivals, Preston North End. They're up in action against Fulham, so I come at you on this coming Tuesday as well. Paul Heckingbottom's Preston, 58% form for them right now, up against Marco Silva's Fulham on 67% form for them right now. What does that translate to? Well, that translates to just 1 defeat in the last 6 for Fulham. Meanwhile, Preston on back-to-back games now without a win, since, of course, Heckingbottom has taken over the reins. Now, they have played 12 times since the year 2000, just 2 wins for the Nobbers, 6 wins for Preston, for Fulham, and 4 draws coming into this one. Now, the last time they played at this very venue, it was a 1-1 draw. That wasn't too long ago, back in November 2021. Preston came out, would have been happy with that result, and I think they would be happy with that this time around. In fact, though, if you look back at the last 2 occasions at this very venue, Preston have come out of this unbeaten. Can they make it a third this time around? Well, the bookies, we'll take a look at the bookies in a second. Preston and Fulham both coming into this on the back of 1-1 draws this past weekend, but the bookies go 4-1 is your Preston, 11-8 on is your Fulham, and 13-5 is the draw. Maybe an unwanted distraction for Preston right now with a big game this weekend, but I think they're going to take the L here. 2-0 win for Fulham on the road to go through to the 4th round of the Cup. And we continue our little detour here up in the northwest as we go to Goodison Park. Sean Dyche's Everton up against Southampton. That is, of course, Russell Martin. Both sides in pretty poor form right now. In fact, they've got identical form. Both sides 25% heading into this one. That's just one win in the last 6 for both these two sides. And our familiar foes, of course, 47 times they played since 1993. 20 wins for Everton, 16 wins for the Saints, 11 draws. Of course, the biggest win, get this, for Everton over Southampton, 7-1 win. Southampton's biggest win was just a 4-1 win. But coming into the most recent match they have played at Goodison Park was a 2-1 win for the Saints way back in January 2023. It's very much even Stevens over the last 6, 3 wins and 3 defeats for both sides. Of course, Villa did beat Everton again, back-to-back 3-2 losses in games where Everton were in control, but shit the bed somewhat to lose back-to-back games. Meanwhile, the Saints back-to-back games conceding 3 goals as well, as both defences need to be a little bit more tight if they're going to go through to the latter stages of the Cup. Now, the bookies, though, for this more find it tight, 2019 on is your Everton. They seem to be favoured. 5-2 is the draw. The Saints are 14-5, but this does smell like a Cup upset, but I am backing Everton to ride through this one, get the win, and maybe also provide a necessary distraction from the woes that is the league. Back down to London we go, and it is Loftus Road. The venue is QPR up against Crystal Palace, another all-London classic with QPR and Marti Kofientes up against Crystal Palace and Glasner Ball. Now, Glasner Ball has not been the greatest so far in the league, but they are starting to turn a corner with an unbeaten run of now 3 matches. QPR, though, under Kofientes, also unbeaten in the last 6. That's a pretty good form, but there are draw specialists picking up 3 draws out of the last 5 matches. Now, these two sides have played 25 times since 1994. 5 wins for QPR, 11 wins for Palace, 9 draws as well, with QPR boasting a 6-0 win in their recent one of their games against QPR in the last 30 years. However, it's been all Crystal Palace in the past couple of games. One was a friendly, one was a bit more serious. That was back in the Premier League back in March 2015. But the last time they played at this very venue, it was a 0-0 draw, also in the Premier League back in December 2014. Palace on the back of a 2-2 draw. QPR on the back of that madcap 1-1 draw against Sheffield Wednesday. The bookies, though, for this one, they'll go QPR 4-1 for the victory, 6-4 on is your Palace, 29-10 is a draw. I'm going with just a narrow win for Palace. It'll be a good game, though. This one smells like a classic, and I'm looking forward to seeing that one. Are you too? Let me know down below. Up to the Theatre of Dreams now, and it could be a Theatre of Dreams for Barnsley as they entertain Manchester United with Erik ten Hag bouncing back this past weekend with a win. But Barnsley are looking pretty good in League One at the moment. However, they do come into this on the back of a defeat, and we'll talk about that in a minute. Now, these two clubs have played 3 times since 1997. 3 wins out of 3 for United, nothing for Barnsley. In fact, they have not scored against them in those last 3. Now, these two sides did play in the League Cup way back in October 2009. It was at Oakham, though, and it was a 2-0 win for Manchester United. However, the last time these two sides played over at Old Trafford, it was a bit of a one-sided affair. 7-0 it was for Manchester United. Will we get a repeat of that scoreline this time around? Doubtful, but Man United back on track with a 3-0 win against the Saints most recently. Barnsley on the receiving end of a 3-0 loss themselves as they lost to Stevenage just past weekend. 4-1 on is United, 90-4 is the draw, 11-1 is your away win. Only one win here. That'll be Manchester United 3-0 win. Taking the points, well, not the points, but going through to the next round again. Like your Evertons, like even your Brentfords, good chance for them to get some silverware here if they get it right. Let's head on down to the south coast now. It is Brighton taking on fellow Premier League side Wolverhampton Wanderers. That's right. Fabian Husler, who's just been pronounced as the manager of the month for August. Coming into this 83% form for them right now. Back-to-back draws, though. Hit a bit of a blip, but they are unbeaten in the last 9 matches. Up against Wolves, 25% form for them right now under Gary O'Neill. Just 1 win in the last 6 for them as they, despite good performances, what I'm hearing anyway, they're struggling in the league. Now, these two sides have played 27 times since 2002. 9 wins for Brighton, 6 wins for Wolves, 12 draws as well, with the most recent match being at the Amex between these two sides back in January 2024. It was a 0-0 draw. But Brighton have just the 1 loss against Wolves over the last 6. That was at Molineux. It was in the FA Cup, 5th round last season. Meanwhile, Brighton on the back of a... Brighton on the back of a 0-0 draw against Ipswich. So that makes successive draws for them. Wolves with that loss against the Geordies at Molineux this past weekend. But the bookies find this one another, going in favour of the host. 6-4 on is your Brighton, 14-5 the draw. 4-1 is your away win, that is Wolves. I'm going to go with Brighton on this one. 2-0 win. They've got something about them right now, and I think that's going to continue into the next round of the Cup. And the final game for this week, of course, there is a bunch of games next week, and we're going to talk about them right now as well. It's over at the Rico, and it's Coventry City taking on Tottenham Hotspur with Mark Robbins meeting up against Angie Postecoglou in the dugouts. That's right. Now, these two sides, familiar foes, of course, but haven't played in a while, since at least 10 years, but they have played 18 times since 1994. We have 6 wins for Coventry, 9 wins for Spurs, 3 draws as well. Coventry, slow starters, as we've all been talking about, just 1 win in the last 4 matches against a Spurs side. Back-to-back defeats for them coming into this game. Not the greatest form, but again, it could be a good distraction for them heading into this match. Now, the last time that they played at this very venue was in the same competition way back in September 2003. It was a 3-0 win for Spurs over Coventry, who've won the 3 on the spin against Tottenham, scoring 9 goals without return. But they're going to have to do something that they haven't done in a couple of games, and that's find a winning goal, losing this to the Geordies and Arsenal in quick succession. Meanwhile, Coventry haven't had a won since the last round of the Cup, where they beat Oxford 1-0 at this very venue. But the bookies, they go with Coventry 13-2 for the victory, 10-3 the draw, 50-21 on is your Spurs here. Gonna go with Spurs. They need a result. They need something to get their season back on track, and this. All right then, folks, now we go back up to the northwest, and it is Manchester City, of course, Premier League champions, up against Watford. Now, this match will take place on the 24th of September, so there's a lot going to go on between then and now. There's the Champions League, there's the Premier League game going on for City. Watford, of course, are in action as well, but we'll talk about it like it's happening right here, right now. And it is a bit of a ding-dong classic. City, of course, 6 wins on the bounce at the very least against the Watford side, who've had a couple of bit of bumps in the road, despite a very strong season in the Championship. But back-to-back games now without a win. They're on 75% form. Now, they have played 19 times since 2001. It's been 17 wins for City, nothing for Watford. There's been a couple of draws, though, and the most recent match between these two sides was back in April 2022 in the Prem de la Prem. Man City coming out on top with a 5-1 win. If you want to add, oh my gosh, you don't want to add. If you want to add the last 5 between these two sides, we're looking at 10, 21, 26 goals conceded against Man City. That includes that 6-0 drubbing in the FA Cup. But City narrowed win over Brentford this past weekend. Watford with a 1-1 draw. The bookies for this one, what we got going on? We got bookies 6-1 on is your City, 50-2 is the draw, 12-1 is your away win. It's going to be a big one. Going to go 4-0 for City to clean up and go again. Let's head on now to Plough Lane, aka Cherry Records Stadium, where Wimbledon will take on the Geordies for the first time in this sort of capacity. You know what I mean? You know what I mean when I was talking about Wimbledon. Anyway, 83% form for them right now. They're on a good bit of form over in League Two, winning 5 on the spin in all competitions. The Geordies, also unbeaten in the last 6. They're on 92% form for them. But something's got to give this week, or whenever these guys play, which will be on the 24th of September. Wimbledon, under Johnny Jackson, coming into this on the back of a 3-0 win against MK Dons. Back-to-back clean sheets. Again, when this game does take place, of course, Wimbledon would have played Bradford, so we'll need to see what goes on in that game. Of course, the Geordies on back-to-back 2-1 wins at the moment. Again, we'll be taking on Fulham this weekend in the Premier League. But the bookies for here, 70-2 is your Wimbledon, 3-1 on is your Newcastle, 50-4 is the draw. Unfortunately, I can't see Wimbledon making it a repeat this time, but I think they'll give them a game. 2-1 win down the Cherry Records Stadium. This is what the Cup's all about. Same can be said for our trip to the Bescot, that's right, as Walsall from League 2 take on former Premier League winners Leicester City. That's right, it's a Cup Cane Classic. Played 6 times since 2002. Just nothing for Walsall, 5 for Leicester, 1 draw between the two sides. Walsall under Sadler again cooking right now, 4 wins at the last 5. Leicester with Stevie Cooper in the helm, just 1 win in the last 6 games. But these two sides did play not that long ago. In fact, it was last year, back in January 2023. It was in the FA Cup, Leicester beating Walsall 1-0 at this very venue. In fact, they've got 3 successive wins against Walsall in all competitions and in all venues. Walsall on the back of a 2-1 win over Bradford. They will take on Fulham in the Cup, also in the Football League trophy, as well as Salford before this game goes ahead. So a lot could change, a lot could fluctuate between then and now. But Leicester as well taking on Everton before this match. The bookies have it out already. We have 6-1 is your Walsall, 50-21 is your on. That's 50-21 on is your Leicester. And the draw is at 7-2. Again, I'd love to see it. I'm going for a bit of a shock. There's always a shock curveball in it. I'm going to go with a 1-1 draw, penalty shootout victory for Walsall to continue their EFL Cup dream. And speaking of dreams, it doesn't get much better than this, does it? It's a trip to Stamford Bridge for Barrow. That's right. League 2 Barrow having a phenomenal campaign under Stephen Clements over in League 2, and they're here in the Cup against former Premier League winners Chelsea under Enzo Marquesca. I think the value of what the Barrow squad could be paid off by the salary of just one guy. Goodness gracious me, it's completely chalk and cheese. But they've never played each other. We know that. We expected that. But Chelsea, 58% form for them right now. They're actually slowly brewing right now under Marquesca, which of course goes against my early season prediction. As for Barrow, great start to the campaign for them, just one defeat in the last 6. They come into this on the back of a 2-1 win against Grimsby. They will take on Newport County before this game. Chelsea did beat Bournemouth. They have taken on West Ham before this crunch clash over in the EFL Cup. 20-1 on is your Chelsea overwhelming favourites. 11-1 is the draw. 33-1 is your away win. It cannot be, can it? Unfortunately, no. This will be where the Cup dream is shattered for Barrow, but it'll be a great day out for the fans, making that long trip down to London, but it'll be a good day out, and of course, hopefully they can have something to get excited. I'll be cheering on Barrow, but I don't think, realistically, they're not going to get it. The Cup dreams continue, though, over at Wycombe, that's right, as they take on Aston Villa, of course, with their Champions League distraction going on. We're trying to head over there right now. There we go. Down at Adams Park we go. It is Wycombe up against Aston Villa. Of course, Wycombe doing all right at the moment. Unbeaten in the last 4 matches, 58% form for them. Up against Unai Emery's and Aston Villa, who are on 67% form for them. Just one defeat in the last 4. They have played 6 times since 2003. 4 wins for Villa, nothing for Wycombe. 2 draws between the two sides. Now, they have played in cup competitions in the 3 of the last 4 matches. And there's been some absolute crazy scorelines, including the last time they played at this very venue in the same competition. It was an 11-goal thriller. 8-3 it was in favour of Aston Villa way back in September 2005. They also played a couple of years prior to that. It was a 5-0 win for Aston Villa at the same venue. However, let's try and put a bit of a smile on the Wycombe fans' face. The last time they played in this venue, it was a 1-1 draw in the FA Cup. It was back in January 2016. It did mean a replay at Villa Park, which of course Villa came through out on top, but something to get your teeth into. And Wycombe are looking pretty good at the moment on the back of a 2-1 win against Northampton Town. They will be taking on Brighton of Albion in the Football League Trophy prior to this, and of course Cambridge. This would make 3 successive home matches for them in a row. Meanwhile, Villa, of course, up against Young Boys Bern in the Champions League, taking on Wolves as well this weekend, and then focus will switch back to this cup competition against Wycombe. The bookies, though, they'll go with Wycombe 9-1. No, they were 9-1 is your Wycombe, 10-3 on is your Villa, 4-1 is the draw. Unfortunately, again, cup dreams will end for Wycombe, but a good opportunity to cause a scout. But 2-1, narrow loss, might be a last-minute winner. Who knows? But we're up for a thriller indeed. Meanwhile, to the final 2, we go to London. That's right. It's Arsenal and it's the Emirates as they take on taking on bloody Bolton Wanderers. Of course, coming at you this on the 25th of September. That's a Wednesday. Arsenal under Mikel Arteta up against Bolton, and currently Ian Everett. Now that may change before this game because he's under so much pressure right now, despite losing in the playoffs, and the season really hasn't got going for him over in League One. They're coming into this on 42% form for them right now. 2 wins of the last 6 games up against Arsenal. 92% form for them as well. 5 wins of the last 6. Now they have played 31 times since 1995, with the last match at this very venue all the way back in October 2011. It was in the EFL Cup. It was just a narrow 2-1 win for Arsenal. But are Arsenal a different beast in this season? Well, they might be. Of course, they have played in the last 6 matches. The home side has not lost. That does include a couple of games that were at Bolton, but unfortunately this game is down in London. Bolton on the back of a 4-0 loss to Huddersfield. They will be taking on Reading before this match. Arsenal taking on Atalanta, and then Man City in a big 10 days or so for them in their football calendar. The bookies, though, 11-1 on is your Arsenal, 9-1 is the draw, 80-1 is your long shots. It is going to be Arsenal. It's going to be comfortable, 3-0. It may or may not be Ian Everett at the dugout, but we'll see whenever this game comes around. And then finally, we're going to end up all the way back into the northwest as Liverpool take on West Ham on the 25th of September, of course. All Premier League crunch clash. 75% form for Liverpool at the moment. Just one defeat in the last 6. It was a shocker against Nottingham Forest. West Ham not really kicking into gear despite their hype over the transfer window. Back-to-back games now without a loss. Now, they have played 60 times, these two sides, since 1993. 37 wins for Liverpool, 11 wins for West Ham, and 12 draws, of course. Now, the recent match between these two sides at this very venue was at Anfield and was in the Cup last season, back in December 2023, in the quarter-final stages, and Liverpool disposed of West Ham 5-1. In fact, they've scored 8 goals against West Ham in back-to-back meetings at this very venue. The bookies, we'll get to them in a minute, but Liverpool on the back of that 1-0 loss to Forest. West Ham did draw with Fulham, and they are in action against Chelsea this weekend, with Liverpool against Milan and then Bournemouth in, once again, a very hectic calendar for them. The bookies 3-1 on is your Liverpool, 50-2 is your West Ham, 50-4 is the draw. Liverpool love this competition, and I think they'll continue to love it with another thriller. 6 goals in it, 4-2 though, in favour of Liverpool. That, my friends, is what I've got. Be sure to get your own picks in now using the link. It's right here on the screen, and hopefully we'll be back for the next round, the 4th round, whenever this comes around. But until then, subscribe, smash the like, catch you later. But until then, guys and girls, we are done-zoed.